Thank you so much. It's a lot of information, but we get a lot of questions about it, so I'm really glad you were able to be here today. Does anybody have deferred compensation? Empower, Mass Mutual. So Casey Slemons is here from Empower. So much of what he says, because it's all IRS guidelines, will apply, even if it's not Empower, if you're a court employee with Mass Mutual. So I'm going to pass the mic to Casey Slemons.
How's everybody doing? A lot of stuff, right? Did anyone ever warn you when you started thinking about retirement how much work it is? I found that's a big part of it. So first I'd like to thank Rebecca for setting this up and her team, and I'd like to commend all of you for coming. One of the biggest parts of what I do on a day-to-day basis is try to put all the pieces of retirement together, because it is a lot of different things. And so these kind of events where you look at everything, give you perspective, is really kind of one of the driving forces to give you some security, understand what's going to happen, and make those decisions, and hopefully make them as easy for you as possible. And so today I'm going to go over the distribution options in particular on the deferred compensation plan, but I'd like to take a step back for a second, because one of the things that happens a lot is people come up to me and say, I'm going to retire, what do I get from deferred comp? Right, we looked at what's my calculation for SBCER'S, you know now where to look up your Social Security, what do I get from deferred comp? And I have no idea. It depends on what you want to do with deferred comp. And that's actually the beauty of it, and why it works so well in concert with your other benefits. The key factor of deferred compensation, particularly in a government market, is the flexibility that it gives you. You have a lot of different options. So I want you to think before about, what do I get, what do I want it for? For example, I'll have some people who saved all their deferred comp money for one thing. When I retire, I am buying a sailboat and I am sailing around the world. These things happen. I have some people who will say, I'm going to use this as a supplement to my income. I looked at what I'm getting from my other benefits. I need an extra $1,000 a month so that I can retire, because we want to keep our same standard of living. It may be something, this is my medical emergency fund, my vacation fund, and some of you, and I'm not going to make anyone raise their hand here, may have no idea what you're planning to do with deferred comp. Someone told me I should save. It sounded like a good idea, so I stuck with it. And now you're glad you are, but you don't know what you want to do. All of these different scenarios and different lifestyle choices, because everyone's different, there's going to be options in deferred comp that can kind of fit and help you out with that. So we're not going to go over the financial tax and legal advice on this. I'm going to give you some general information, really from an education standpoint. I don't expect you to memorize all this stuff, and if you ever really, the takeaway, I have lots of options, I'm ready to go, I should give Casey a call. Because remember, if I'm talking to you, I'm not doing paperwork. So retirees can always call me. Now, one of the nice, fun things for me here is usually when you talk to me, I say you need to start saving more money, and no one likes that. I'm pretty lonely Christmas time, as you imagine. Retirement, we get to talk more about the spending. So in theory, I'm more popular, which means the very first slide they give me is about saving more money. So while you're still working, because whether you're 5 weeks away or 5 years away, if you have more time here, this is a benefit for you. But if I'm still working, remember, this is probably your last opportunity to save money with tax benefits in order to fund your future in retirement. And right now in 2018, the limit is $18,500 a year. So that's the regular contribution. If you are eligible for catch-up, anyone 50 or older can do an extra $6,000, so $24,500. And there's a special catch-up, sometimes called the 3-year catch-up. If you have not maxed out early in your career, we can look back at your records and possibly do double the normal maximum. So instead of $18,500 a year, you could possibly do $37,000 a year for a 3-year window. So if you really want to back in and fund, I can. This comes up a lot when people retire and they have vacation time. So we looked at already how sick leave turns into service credit. Vacation time gets cashed out in your last paycheck. From our standpoint and IRS standpoint, that's just a big paycheck. So if I have 400 hours on my last paycheck, let us know about a month in advance, and then I can possibly just do a big contribution. And then if I want to draw it out later, I can. So that's a good option for many people who have those big balances. Other people who take their vacation might be happier right now, but that's the way to go. Other plans you may have from other employers, 401ks, or you have a traditional IRA, you could roll into these plans, and all of the tools in this account. Now, how many people use their deferred comp website? Got a few? Okay, so this is all going to stay the same. When you separate from service, all of the tools, all the investment options, different things will still be there for you. Now, when you retire, what happens is we separate from payroll. We're tied to payroll, and then the first two options go away. I'm no longer working, so I can't put my money in. But If I have other plans I want to combine later on, or maybe I worked for a few years after retirement and then I want to roll it in, I can still do that. The website, all the tools, I will still be your rep, so you'll still have all of the resources available to you. So while you're working, you can put more money in. When you retire, that's really the only thing that changes. All the other benefits are there for you, but now you can start drawing money out. So this is where you like me more than you did the previous 45 years. So important decisions to make. When should I start taking my money out? So one of the myths that went around a long time is I left the county and then I need to pull all my money out and do something with it. And that's not the case. You don't necessarily have to draw any money out at all the day you retire. We'll talk about when you have to take money out. So think back to where we were at the top. What do I want to use this for? What are my plans for this money? And that'll make you have a better idea of when you should start drawing it out, which options are going to be available to you, which ones will help you. Now, a couple things here. If you have been contributing money before tax into your 457, so with the county in a government plan, there is no early withdrawal penalty based on age. So I want to make sure that's clear. However, if you have a traditional IRA or a 401k or 403b from another employer, they may have an early withdrawal penalty. So if you have other plans, that works as well. Another thing I'd like to bring up, for the purposes of today's conversation, I'm going to really be talking about before tax contributions because that's the majority of the people here. But I know some of you may have some Roth contributions. All of the actual processes we're talking about and the options are the same. The difference is, since you've paid those taxes already, as long as you meet two rules. One, I've had the plan for 5 years, and I've reached an age of 59 and a half. When you draw it out, you won't be taxed on it because you already have been. So that's the only difference. All the other things stays the same. For everyone who has before tax, we'll talk about that throughout the rest of this, okay? So what are my options? This is kind of the meat of it. I can do a lump sum distribution. Give me my money. It's all mine. I want it now. You could roll it into another plan. You can do a partial distribution. I could do periodic payments. I could purchase a fixed annuity, or I could do several of these. Remember, flexibility. We have a lot of options on it. So the lump sum distribution can be the most fun in some ways, but not necessarily the best tax year. This is, I want to pull all my money out. So I have $150,000. Give me my $150,000. We'll process the paperwork and we can send you a check. Now be aware when you're drawing this money out, there is taxes withheld and it counts as income. So the minimum required tax withholding is 20% federal plus state, depending on what state you're in. California would be a total of 22% is the minimum withholding. You may owe more in taxes. You may get a return. It depends on the rest of your benefits that you're getting. But the advantage is you have your money. You can use it for whatever you want. So if you're buying your sailboat, this is when this would come out. Buying my sailboat or I'm building my cabin, whatever the case may be. Just be aware, once you close out your account, you can't come back in. And if I'm doing a large distribution, you probably want to talk to a tax professional about that because you may want to actually pay a little more taxes early on rather than get caught too much when you retire. So this is not the most popular, but if you want to pull all your money out once, you can do so. The most popular of options is actually the partial lump sum distribution. So this is, I have my $150,000. I don't need it all right now. Send me $5,000. Go on vacation. I need $10,000 for a medical cost. Whatever you want to do. You're only going to be taxed on what you pull out the year you pull it out. So you'll still have those tax withholdings. But you're never pulling out extra. You can do this several times a year, as many as you want. So maybe I think I need money in January. I'll take that out. June, I need to take another distribution. That's fine. So this gives you a lot of flexibility. Only pull out money that you need when you need it. This is the most common for people, usually when you have a pension benefit, because, you know, usually we're not quite sure what we need, particularly when we just retire. This will give you an idea for that. So I want to pull out money, just tell us how much, and we'll send you a check, or you can do it. And again, they'll have things about taxes all the time, because apparently they don't want me to have many friends after these meetings. The second most popular option is probably the periodic payments. This is traditionally what you'd see. This is if I want to pull money out on a regular basis, so I don't like a retirement paycheck. And there's two ways to do it. There's equal amounts, and there's a specified period. So equal amounts is I'd like $500 a month until my money's all gone. You can do it monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, or annually, whatever works best for you. And you can change it. I don't need $500. Just drop it down to $250. Now, you know, it's been a couple years. Things got more expensive. Bump it back up to $500 or $700. You'll know exactly how much comes up every distribution. I'll get $500 every month until my money's gone. But you won't know exactly how long that's going to last. If you're a pretty conservative investor, you have a very good idea. If I'm very aggressive, that can vary a bit. A specified period would be different. This is where you select how often and how long. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you are retiring at 55, and you're worried about medical and you want to hit Medicare at 65, I could say I want 10 years of proportional payments on a specified period for that 10-year period of time, so 120 payments. Now, every monthly check will vary slightly, again, depending on your investments, but you'll know that you have it proportionally to last you that period of time. So this can help you in planning, particularly if you're using it for something like that. Maybe it's for the Medicare, maybe it's because you want to hit full Social Security, whatever the case may be. Now, when they are taxable income, when you pull it out, I would encourage you, it's called a W-4P, is a tax form a lot of you will fill out. So like your W-4 now, but for pensions and retirements, and then that will be able to help you with your withholding. And then if you need to change that over time, you can do that as well. Now the final option is the annuity option, which some of you may have dealt with in the past. So an annuity is a contract with an insurance company that gives you a guaranteed payment for a period of time or life, depending on what you sign up for. So with this is where I want security. I don't want to have my balance. I'd like to get something that's going to give me a guaranteed payment. The advantage there is you know what you're going to get, and there's lots of different options. You could say, I would like my money to last for 10 years, and they'll send you a monthly amount for 10 years that's guaranteed. You could say, I want one to last for the rest of my life, but at least 10 years. So if you pass in 8 years, 2 years of payments will go to your beneficiaries. If you live 20 years, you're going to get it all 20 years. You could do one your lifetime with a spouse. You can do one just your life with nothing on it. Now, the advantage here is the guarantee. The disadvantage is you lose the flexibility, and I just warn you, be very, very sure you want to do this. Because you're purchasing a contract, once you get that first payment, you can't change your mind and go back. So be very aware of that. But it's not all or nothing either. Let's go back. I have that $150,000. I could spend $50,000 in annuity and keep my other $100,000 in the account. So you do have that option. Now, under this kind of crazy Frankenstein fruit thing we have here, just to show you, you can do a variety of different things. So periodic payments plus purchasing an annuity. If I have my $500 a month, but I need $3,000 to go on vacation, I can do that. You have a lot of flexibility. You can change your distributions. You can stop them and restart them whenever you want to. So use this kind of wherever that comes in for you. Now, as far as when do I have to take money out, and you will eventually, and it is the required minimum distribution that takes place the year you turn 70 and a half. So the IRS has a table that goes up to age 115, which is pretty optimistic, but that's a good one for us. And every year after you turn 70 and a half, you need to take out a minimum amount. Now it's between 3 and 4% for the first year and gradually goes up by your age factor. You can delay the first one until April 1st, so you get like a 3-month extension. Just be aware, if I delay it the year after I'm 70 and a half, I have to take another one out in December, so I'll take 2 out that first year. So if you want to avoid taking 2 distributions for tax purposes, you'd want to take it the year you turn 70 and a half and then the following year. Now, we highly encourage you to pull out your money because if you don't do the required distribution, there's a 50% penalty, which seems a little excessive, but we will send you a letter letting you know that it's coming up, but we can't pull the money out without your permission. And so we'll give you a form to do so. Once you do set this up, you can have it automatic, where we'll automatically pull out the minimum, so you don't have to do paperwork every year. And then if you ever want to withhold more, you can. If you want more information, you can get this on the IRS's website. It's called the Required Minimum Distribution, and they have different types of tables if you want to look at what that could look like. Now, as far as your plan, there are some advantages to staying put. This is part of your benefit package from the county, and it's really set for all 3 phases of retirement. So retirement plan, when you think of the accumulation phase, that's the majority of your career. I'm putting money away, investing. I'm usually a little more aggressive in my investments. We have the pre-retirement phase. That's really where you are now in that 5 to 10 years to retirement. I'm usually saving more money because hopefully I'm making more money than I was when I was 25. But my investments are usually not quite as severe. And then retirement, that's when I do the spend down phase. So I start pulling my money out. So that's the fun part. So this plan is built to help you do that in all those phases. All the tools will still be there. But retirement's kind of like when you turned 18 and everyone give you a credit card. So you got all those applications in the mail. When you retire, everyone's going to want to say, hey, come for free lunch and talk to my financial advisor. And I'll buy anything that's free, so go get lunch. But just be aware, if you pull your money out, you can't come back in. So it can sometimes happen, let's say you find a financial advisor that you really like and it's really worthwhile, and I have my $150,000, I might give them $50,000 or $75,000 and roll it over. And then if it turns out the fees are more than I thought they were, or I missed the benefits I had before, then I can roll it back. Or, you know what, this was worthwhile, I'm going to roll the rest of it over. Remember, you have flexibility. But once you roll all your money out, it closes your account. Unless you want to start working again, you can't come back in. So be aware of that. Now, a couple things because just advice I've gotten from retirees over the years, because I get to give advice because I'm behind a podium. It makes me feel powerful. A couple of things that I would say the biggest thing you can do from the preparing standpoint is write a budget. So figure out your income, which is a big part of what we've already talked about, and then think about what your expenses are going to be. And then I'd encourage you, if you do that, to try to live off it for a little while, like 6 months or a year. So if I was making $75,000, and I'm projected to get $65,000, so I should live off that $65,000, and then the $10,000 can be my, my vacation for when I'm in retirement, my gift to myself. Now, how many people thought I was going to say $10,000 should all go to deferred comp instead of vacation? We can split the difference. $5,000 is a pretty good vacation, $5,000 savings. That's the big one. It'll also help you if you're transitioning from being paid biweekly to monthly. Being paid monthly is a bit of a challenge. It makes us smarter about our money, but we have to be prepared. So a budget will help you with that. The other thing is, I would say, think about the transition of retirement. For a lot of people, you're going from 45 years of working to not working. It's a big transition. Give yourself some time to kind of react to that. I know we're going to have a speaker going through some of the retirement and how that works. Lean on your fellow coworkers or past coworkers about that and give yourself time. Some people jump into it and have way too much fun right away. And some of us need about a year to give yourself. And just give yourself license to do that and to think about it. Think about longevity. So looking at the different things she had up there. My great-grandmother got remarried at 89, so you want to look at that. Now, she was a poor retirement planner, but married a younger man with money. So that works out, but she was especially adorable. The rest of us may want to plan for it, so you want to think about that. And as we're coming to a close on this, if you ever want help, one of the things that we do, or I do out in those meetings, is we'll do a retirement readiness review. We're going to say, bring in your packet, what is my pension quote? We can look at the Social Security tables, or you can bring in your own number with your deferred comp. I have 3 years to go. Do I look like I'm on track? Should I change my savings rate? Do I want help with the investment side? Those are all things that we're going to help you with, and I can tell you everyone up here wants to help you retire. It's kind of the fun part when people come back and tell us about this boating trip or that camping trip or whatever the case may be. So we're here for you to help you out. And again, congratulations to everyone as you're thinking about this, and well done for coming here and doing the planning part. It really will give you that peace of mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey. So more about the nuts and bolts. How do we get from employment to retirement? You're probably wondering what's going to happen and what your interface with HR will be. So today we have Maya Barraza from County HR to talk about some of these moving parts. Maya?
She's much taller than I am. Hello, everyone. And yes, congratulations. I'm jealous. I have a long ways to go. But now I'm over 40 and I'm like, oh, now I understand why retirement seems so exciting. Okay, so this is going to be more of a questions and answer forum because everyone's going to have different questions and I'm not going to be able to cover everything just by reading through it. And I also don't want to put anyone to sleep. But what I have here is a separation letter that you should be getting from your department, but I think it sometimes gets missed. So I brought a bunch here, and this goes over every single benefit we have, medical, dental, who you would call for COBRA questions, all that kind of information. The health insurance you have will end at the end of the month in which you separate, and at that point you would work with retirement on either doing retiree COBRA or going into the retirement plans. But your active coverage, it'll be the same plan, but it'll actually end just as far as active employment at the end of the month in which you separate, except for your flex spending. If anyone has a flex spending account, that lasts until you are, the last day you're in a paid status or active. It does not carry over. So you're going to want to spend that money. We have had retirees call and say, where's my flex spending? I'm still an employee, I'm just retired. It's like, no, actually you're retired and that means you're getting a pension. It doesn't mean you're still an active employee. So we do get that question very frequently. Because the FSA is a use it or lose it, you can use all that money by your last day and you don't have to repay it back. So there's ways to Oh, I have a heckler in the back. So does anyone have any questions about flex spending? That one comes up very often. Okay. Health savings account, that money stays with you. It will become your own account that you will be responsible for paying the fees. And you would want to talk to Sterling. In this packet, there is information on that. The health savings, you can continue to keep contributing, but it's just going to be not through your employer. It would just be out of pocket, and I believe it would be taxed. Looking at the payroll person, I'm not sure. Yeah, it should be taxed after. But yeah, you can keep that account. You will just be responsible for keeping up the account fees. And I think they have some limitations on you have to have so much money in there or they charge you. Any other questions about that?
Keep in mind, you're not eligible to contribute to an HSA account if you are 65 and on Medicare Part B.
Good point, thank you. Let me see, there's some of the other common questions we get. EAP, you can continue the Employee Assistance Program if you go into COBRA and you want to pay for it. I think what did we determine? It's like about $5 or $6 a month. And that's $275. Is that per pay period?
Per month.
Per month, okay, it's less than I thought. So that's where you can get assistance for legal help, therapy appointments, all sorts of different cool stuff. So that would be available to you through COBRA. I also want to let you know, depending on when you separate in the month, you might see a double deduction for your health insurance. We take premiums out for the 2 paychecks that fall in that month of coverage. So it's not by the actual pay period dates, it's by the pay days that fall in that month. So if you're leaving in the beginning of a month, you're going to have coverage to the end of it. You'll see a double deduction on that last final paycheck. Don't be surprised if you see that. Sometimes when you go through the end of the month, the next paycheck comes out in, say, April, and you wouldn't get any deductions because you'd already had your coverage, which ended in March. That makes sense. Let's see. This question comes up very often. There's a form. Sometimes we get calls and get asked for the form. I just Google it, but usually you get it when you go to Social Security. This is the form you would fill out that they want to show that you had proof of prior coverage when you go into Medicare, so you don't get penalized for not having coverage. We get people in, we can fill this out pretty quickly, so usually we ask that you call and set an appointment, but very often if you just walk into the front desk, we can get it done for you right then and there. All right, are there any other questions? You guys are quiet compared to Santa Maria. Yes? Oh, excellent question. So county paid life insurance, you can only convert, and there are some policy stipulations depending on age and some other stuff. So I can refer you to the website. There's the whole policy on the county life. You can only convert that, and what that means is you're converting it into your own private whole life policy. Because the county pays for that, there's no way to port it. Porting a plan would be, okay, I'm going to get the same group rates as I was getting. You're just now doing it separately through Voya, no longer through the county. So if you have supplemental term life, you can port that money, or port that policy, excuse me, and you would just get, we send you information, we'll say this is how much coverage you had, this is what it's going to cost, please send in a check to Voya. So you can do that. And that's a big one, especially if you've got pre-existing conditions where you know you probably wouldn't be able to get a life insurance policy somewhere else. So yeah, that's a big one. Any other questions? All right, well, I think most of you get those benefit division emails that come out. If you have any questions, you're welcome to send us an email, and we can answer any questions you have, or do whatever's needed to help you guys make a smooth transition into your next chapter. Thank you very much.
So you're about to leave the county employee family and join a new one, the county retiree family. And we have somebody here from our esteemed retiree family, Rory Moore, who wants to tell you about a very important benefit.
So,
You want the mic?
yes.
Here's your little.
Okay. So this isn't the advanced Medicare planning? Oh, okay. Different group. So we're talking about retirement here. All right. Where are you? You relax. All right. So, retired employees of Santa Barbara County, that's the next phase. Now, let me see, is it? No, that's not the one.
It's the right arrow.
Right arrow, okay. Okay, now, whether you worked here, or there, or there, or there, eventually you go through that door. Okay? And there you'll learn about 3 groups. There's the Board of Retirement, there's SBCER'S, and the retired employees of Santa Barbara County. The Board of Retirement holds the assets that we all are depending on. And as of the end of the year, on December 31st, it was $2.98 billion that was supporting all of us, or at least me. You're not there yet. All right, and it's the obligation of the Board of Retirement to manage that money, set the policies that make it all work, and pay it out. Then there's SBCER'S. These are the folks that are putting on this fine meeting. They're the worker bees that keep it running, and they implement the policies of the Board of Retirement. And then there's us, the retired employees of Santa Barbara County. We're dedicated to having fun. We have about 2,315 members, give or take 5 at this point. And we have quarterly events, or quarterly luncheons that are open to all members. Some are here in Santa Barbara, some are in North County. We have trips to cultural events, and we go to the Dodger game, and we have a Dodger game trip in August. And there's a very important person in the retired employees of Santa Barbara County. That's George Babolia, who is in the center of that behind the iced tea pitcher. Mr. Babolia was a deputy district attorney, and somewhere in the mid-'80s, he sued the county and the Retirement Association, saying, you can't mess with our subsidy, the $15 a month health care benefits. Anyway, he sued, ultimately won the issue, and we honor him every June with a luncheon, and this was a couple of years ago. Anyway, but he needs mention whenever possible. This is a number of years ago. We also have a St. Patrick's Day party, which is coming up, and that's at Harry's, and we have fun there with Irish music. We have guest speakers. We've had a number of the supervisors. This is Supervisor Lavanino. In the past, we've taken trips. We've taken a trip on Amtrak from Santa Barbara, picked up folks in Santa Maria, up to Paso Robles and back. We visited the Reagan Library, been to Hearst Castle, and we've been to events at the Hollywood Bowl. This is getting ready for the train trip. The conductor telling us what we're seeing out the window. Things we've got going further on this year, the St. Patrick's Day party on March 13th. In mid-April, we've got the conference of the California Retired County Employees Association here in Santa Barbara. I'll talk about CRCEA in a couple of minutes, but basically it's an organization of county groups for those who are covered by retirement plans under the Retirement Act of 1937.
Okay.
In May, we've got a bus trip to the King Tut exhibit at the LA Science Center. That's going to be fun. On the 29th, a bus trip to the Pantages to see On Your Feet. It's the story of Gloria Estefan and the Miami Sound Machine. And then, of course, the Dodger game. This is a past Dodger game where our group was all sitting there and enjoying it. The Reagan Library, Air Force One. At the Pantages. Some of you may recognize some of our retirees there. And then this was at the Hearst Castle excursion. We've got a group that's the Travel Club, and they've been pretty active. You can see the trips we've had, some to the south, some internationally to, Italy, New England, Canadian Rockies. There was a Spanish food and wine event last fall, and it was the Northern Italy food and wine event last fall. In any event, it's an active group. And coming up this year in July, the group is going to Eastern Europe, and then in October to Alpine Europe. And if you want to know where they're going in the future, you can call Annette Palladino. And this is, I think this is from the Charleston Savannah trip. A fountain somewhere. Okay, the California Retired County Employees Association. It's open to retirement organizations such as RESBC, whose members are covered by the 1937 Retirement Act. We are actively involved in the group. We're hosting the conference in April for the statewide organization. And the purpose is basically to stay current on retirement issues. For example, the efforts to limit public sector retirement plans. It's a big issue, and there are always threats coming out of the woodwork. Also, various county boards of supervisors in the past have made incursions, attacks on the subsidies that counties provide to their retirees, such as our $15 a month per year of service. Anyway, we stay current on those issues. At CRCEA, we have educational conferences, we have banquets, and basically, I want to encourage you all to, when you go join RESBC, you've taken the first steps already in retirement. That's this meeting. Make an appointment with your SBCER'S representative for retirement planning. And at that interview, tell them you want to join our organization, RESBC. Costs you $250 a month, and authorize us to receive your email address. That frequently is missing on the information that we get. So final thoughts. When you come visit your coworkers, wear a flowered dress or shirt. Smile ear to ear, whistle a happy tune such as this retired employee. And I want to tell you a story. This is a final thought. I came out of the public defender's office, and occasionally I go back to court. But sometimes I'm not dressed for court. I'm dressed like this, or even worse. I was in the back of Judge Hill's courtroom one morning, and he's trying a murder case or something. There's the jury's impaneled, everybody's doing their thing, and he looks down at me and he sees me, And I see him sit there and write something out. And then he calls the bailiff over and he hands it to the bailiff. And then the bailiff comes to the rail and calls me up to the bar and gives me this note. Thank you very much. Enjoy your retirement.
Thank you, Rory. Everyone now wants to retire. So we thank you for being here today. This concludes the presentation portion of this meeting, and we'll now open it up to questions and answers. If you have any questions for our SBCER'S staff, for Casey, for Social Security, we're happy to entertain any questions you have now. And I do want to remind you that the video, which is going to stop recording now, will be posted to our intranet for you to watch again. It'll be chaptered, so you can go straight to Casey's section or my section, whatever you want to see. But we are happy to answer any questions you have, and whatever questions you have today, I'm going to transcribe them into a written Q&A to post on that website too. So any questions?